Listen to me. If there was a wise man who would ever think of this, they would say in order to be superior to the man, you've got to be the man. For I am the man himself.
And hello all, what is going on and how y'all doing this Saturday evening? This is the Club of the Man 1993. And yes, I know, I keep saying that I shouldn't be as busy in October. But the only reason why I'm recording these reviews later in the week is because for most of the week I was working on a personal project I was trying to get done this week. But in the midst of all of that, I was doing some smaller stuff around that. So when this review gets uploaded, I will hopefully be having several videos to upload with it as well. I do have 3 as of now that's ready. 3 more shorts. I have 6 of the last 10 levels of my Wolf Bell 1 Let's Play that I have almost ready. But I'm going to wait to upload those till I get all of them done, which all of them are recorded except for the final level. Roller Coaster Tycoon is also almost done edited as well for that. So yes, there's a lot of stuff that will be uploaded that I have been working on this week. I'm just waiting to upload all that stuff at once while doing some personal things this week. Nothing bad, just it's my wedding video I'm trying to finish. I've been putting it off for too long, but I'm finally finishing it now. But anyways, what's up, guys? Again, this is the Club with the Man 1993. This is my review of this past week's episode of Monday Night Raw. Now, if I would have had the time to prepare it, I would have gone live for this episode, because I thought this was a good episode. And before we get to the episode, we have to address some news that was reported by PW Insider. And something else we even heard from an interview with the current owner of the TKO group, Ari Emanuel. And we're going to talk about that really quick before we get into the review of Raw. So why was Raw better this week? Well, reports have come out from some reliable sources saying that apparently Endeavor has knighted Triple H 99.9% of creative, which is awesome news to hear. And that's why, of course, in recent weeks, we have been getting, for the most part, except for that last episode of Raw before the TKO group sale closed, whenever we got that big middle finger with the return of Nia Jax. But that was basically Vince's last big middle finger to us on the way out the door. Well, he still works, but again, I've said for months that I've heard that Vince is buddies with these guys. But are they looking at things where, okay, we could be buddies, but friendship aside, we also have a business to run. And this may have all backfired on Vince McMahon. Because, well, I don't know for sure if they're still looking at him with, as not clean right now. As in everything he's faced as far as allegations and other things he's been dealing with since last July. I'm not sure if that has an impact on it. But it was also reported a couple days ago in an interview, Ari Emanuel blamed Vince McMahon for the dropping in stock for TKO. I'm not even joking. Ari Emanuel came out and basically put the blame on Vince. So to me, it kind of left a good taste in my mouth for Ari. Unless this is Vince playing Ari like a puppet and basically fooling us, because Vince wants to get that. Because again, the whole point of this sale was for Vince to have an excuse to come back and for him to get more power back that he knew he couldn't get. But if it looks like how it looks like, things may have completely backfired for Vince. He may have won the battle for a while, but he may be losing the war. So, we had some improvements on Raw. Now, SmackDown, which we'll get to, I'll record either tonight or sometime tomorrow. SmackDown was good, but it also confused me a little. But Raw, I was very interested in Raw. For the most part. I'm sure I probably could have given this a little bit of a higher grade, but there's still just a couple little things that I'm like, ugh, that I just don't care about. But of course, this was the fallout from Fastlane, and we're now on the road to WWE Crown Jewel 2023, which I'm of course intrigued to see where they go with it. I do have a list of matches, and for the first time on this channel, well, I was going to say first time a Saudi Arabia event on this channel is going to get a predicted match card. I can't say review because I've already given a few shows a chance. But for the first time, wait, have I ever? Yes, I think I reviewed last year's Crown Jewel because Triple H, of course, did it. But I have never made a Crown Jewel predicted match card. And the Fastlane one did well, got over 1,000 views. So I do want to keep going with these match cards. Again, the views have been decent. I hope to someday get back where I get a couple more 1,000 views on those match cards. But I am going to take a crack at a Crown Jewel one. Just got to get moving with it. Because the later I wait, the not so efficiency it is. But again, I am, as of the other day when I saw, I think 61 subscribers away from 2,000. I'm going all out. I mean, yes, there's still a lot of stuff on a different channel, but I'm trying to keep the momentum. Because again, by the end of the year, and we have 2 months left, by the end of the year, I want to get to 2,000 subscribers. That is still the goal for me for the end of the year. So, of course, we'll see if that happens or not. But there's the intro there talking about Triple H being knighted by Endeavor, 99.9% of creative. And, of course, again, it looks like, unless this is our strings being pulled, it looks like Endeavor is not having the biggest faith in Vince McMahon. So, we'll have to see. But we got several things to talk about for this episode of Raw. Let's roll right into it. The show took place in Omaha, Nebraska. We opened up with the World Heavyweight Champion himself, Seth freaking Rollins, making his way out. He says he's feeling some kind of way, and he says how Shinsuke did take him to the limit on Saturday. There were times he didn't think if he would be able to get up. He wasn't sure if he was ever going to be able to keep Shinsuke down. But he did. And when the match was over, the whole arena sung his song. And he felt like he was on top of the world. Then, of course, when he went to the back, the adrenaline went off. And he was reminded that his back is still a mess. He'll level with us. And, of course, I was getting a little concerned. Because at first, it looked like that he was going to... He started saying something like, being world champion is one of the greatest honors of his career. But he wants us to know, and he had these long pauses, and I'm like, oh, don't tell me he's going to have to relinquish the belt now. Like, if that was the case, why not give it to Shinsuke? But then, of course, he fooled us saying, I'm just getting started, baby. Ha, 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 ha. He's a fighting champion. He'll take on anyone, anywhere, any place. And basically, but just for one Monday night, he'd like to take a breather. We can still sing, celebrate, dance, maybe have a few cold ones. until Drew McIntyre's music hits. And he came out with this smug look on his face, gets down to the bottom of the ramp, gives a little wave like, hi. He gets in the ring, and Seth's like, okay, you're not here to party, right? And Drew just shakes his head. He's like, you want a title shot? And Drew goes, and Seth's like, look, I just wanted one night, but even though if I'm not 100%, I, again, am a fighting champion. He says, give me a minute, I'll go into the back and get ready. And Drew's like, Seth, relax. Party's still on. He knows somebody's going to jump him sooner rather than later. But Drew's here looking him in the eye, man to man, says he wants a title match. But he wants to fight him as close to 100% as he can get. So maybe have a crown jewel. Seth's like, okay. He goes, usually challengers don't go about saying things this way. And then Drew says, I'm happy to let him get your help. And I can wait, but I want a shot. And Seth's like, okay, cool. The match is on. And then, of course, Drew says he has some business backstage attention now, but he tells the crowd they want to see him out on the town tonight. They can buy him a pint and a shot. And then, of course, Seth then leads his sing-along as Drew goes to leave. But then Damian Priest attacks him from behind. We're like, wait a minute. Is he going to cash in here? Like, Damian Priest obviously wanted to not leave empty-handed, but based off of the miscue with JD McDonough in the match at Fastlane, which, again, has even got me souring on Judgment Day even more, especially with the whole idea of JD McDonough joining, especially because of later in the episode, which I'll get to later. But they start beating him down. Drew, though, turns around and he sees Priest attacking Seth, but then he keeps moving. And then after Priest hits the South of Heaven, Dominic comes down with a referee and briefcase. But as Dom is about to run past Drew stops him. He stops short. If you get the reference, of course, Seinfeld. And then Dom's like, you can't do this. I want to let him cash in. And then Drew takes a case, gives him the Glasgow kiss, and tosses the briefcase into the LED board and leaves. He wants Seth. He wants Seth at 100%. And of course, Priest is upset, and then Rollins turns to go after Damian, but Damian just rolls out and gets out of the way. We'll get back to the Judgment Day in a little bit. We then have a match, another Viking rules match with Kofi Kingston and Ivar. Look here, again, we've seen this feud the past year or two, both on Raw and SmackDown, with New Day and the Viking Raiders. And again, there's really been no character development at all from the Viking Raiders. I was interested when they turned heel and then brought in Sarah Logan as Valhalla. I still don't really see any development with them. But I gotta give credit where credit is due. Especially with Kofi and Ivar. They've had some good matches that really weren't supposed to be as good as they were. Ivar is like, he's been that good getting this little singles run since Eric is out hurt, that if Keith Lee was still in WWE, I would like to see a match with Ivar and Keith Lee. Like, this Ivar versus Keith Lee would be a pretty good Haas fight. Heck, have we done Ivar and Otis yet? We probably did whenever they were feuding with Alpha Academy. Or, heck, Ivar and Bronson Reed? Ivar and Gunther? Like, give me some big men matches. Big meaty men matches. But this was short, but it was good. Kofi, though, slammed Ivar off the top rope through a table. Then Valhalla showed up, and Xavier. This was weird because I thought maybe a female would come out to help Kofi, but Xavier shows up basically just to keep an eye on Valhalla. But then Woods then ducks when she goes to attack him, and Valhalla goes to the timekeeper's barricade. But then Ivar takes out Xavier. Then it's just him and Kofi. When Kofi went for the Trouble in Paradise, Ivar countered, power slamming Kofi through the table, and hit his moonsault to get the victory. Again, Ivar is really impressing me as a single star. Like, again, I know I would love to see him and Eric, or I would love to see them be Hanson and Rowe, the War Raiders, not the Viking Raiders, get back on track again. Because, again, they can still wrestle. Again, it's just the character has just, the name change, drained the hell out of them. Again, there's been times I look at them as, like, the newest Ascension. Like, Connor and Victor, like, great wrestlers, but just their characters just been, like, drained big time. So we'll see what happens, but Ivar, gotta give him his credit where credit is due. Damian Priest then throwing a hissy fit with Finn Balor and Rhea Ripley. Like, why weren't you there for me when I went to cash in? But then JD McDonough comes in, and of all people to tell him off, it was Finn Balor, which would make sense because shouldn't they be pissed at JD for costing them the tag titles at Fastlane? And they explained they were meeting with Adam Pearce to get a rematch. Rhea tells JD, prove yourself and take care of Drew tonight to redeem them. Damian then tells JD he wants him to take care of Drew, but part of him wants to see McIntyre break him in half. He wishes him good luck, and then Finn tells JD to beat it. Which, again, we'll get back to this after we talk about their match. We then had one of the few things I didn't care for. Well, the match I didn't care for. Because it's Raquel Rodriguez, who I'm fine with. But then there's someone who I'm not fine with, and that's Nia Jax. Didn't care about the match because I just don't like Nia. Yes, it's two big women, but, you know. The match ends in a DQ when Rhea Ripley runs in and starts brawling with Nia. Because she wants to get revenge on Nia for injuring her. Well, Raquel's like, well, I want to get a hand on her too. But then Rhea and Raquel start brawling. Then Shayna Baszler comes out and attacks Nia. And then Rhea pulls her off. They argue about who gets to attack Nia. And then Rhea tells her to get out of the ring. And then Baszler hits a German suplex and a flash knee that takes out Rhea Ripley. And later on in the show, Rhea Ripley asks Adam Pearce for a match on Raw next week with Shayna Baszler. Which they've had some good matches in the past, especially when Rhea was the one who dethroned Shayna. And also, how could we not forget Rhea's 4-on-2 performance at the Women's War Games match in 2019, I think it was. I think it was 19. Yeah, 2019, I think that War Games match was. Great. Well, match I didn't care for. But I do like that they were, in this show especially, we're showcasing more women. I mean, yeah, we have Raquel, but we have Shayna in her spotlight. Only thing I'm a little worried about, though, because we'll talk about more women. We got into the NXT Women's Championship picture, of course, as well, since Becky Lynch is still the NXT Women's Champion. But I like on this show also, we had a lot of women featured. I'm hoping this sets up for a fatal four-way at Crown Jewel. Even though, again, I don't care for Nia at all. Raquel just had her shot fine, but Shayna in there, like, the four of them, it could be interesting. So that kind of meant for the match. Like I'm interested to see, especially since we have more people who finally want to fight Rhea Ripley. Again, stuff like this is when you know Triple H has full control. Because if any shred of Vince McMahon on that script, we wouldn't be getting this much women involved. We'll be having Rhea having no one who wants to fight her, apparently, for the title. I mean, you want to tell a story that everybody's afraid of Rhea, okay, but, still. Drew McIntyre's backstage with Seth when Seth Rollins comes up. Seth says, great news, Adam Pearce made their title match official for Crown Jewel. But he wants to know from Drew, what's his problem? He's this man of integrity. He ignores the beatdown, but attacks once the case is involved? Drew says, if it's not his business, he doesn't get involved. And he doesn't want another bloodline situation on Raw. Seth says he appreciates the concern, but Drew doesn't need to worry about the Judgment Day. Because they can't take the title away from him anymore than McIntyre can. Shayna Baszler's being interviewed saying she doesn't care who it is. If she's standing in the ring, she's the baddest woman in there. And nobody sneak attacks her in the ring and gets away with it. And she walks right past Akira Tozawa, who immediately just runs away. Akira Tozawa. Triple H does use him for a little comedy spurt like that, which I thought that was a little funny. So we'll probably be seeing him here and there as long as Triple H is in charge. But anyways, then we have this interesting little interview here. So Michael Cole introduces the new Undisputed Tag Team Champions, Cody Rhodes and main event Jey Uso. He comes out and asks, how does it feel to be champs? Jey says he's turned up and now he's a 2-time champ. And with the current belts and his partner is Cody Rhodes. Which the two of them were a little tipsy, I think, at that press conference after Fastlane this weekend. Yeet! Yeet! But anyways, Michael Cole then asks Cody this crazy curveball of a question. He says, Cody, where this responsibility of defending the tag titles fits in with his original goal of finishing the story, which kind of throws Cody off. He says, we've all seen a documentary. They've had real personal conversations about it. Is he content with the tag titles? Or is he unwilling to take another shot at the world title because he failed the first time and he's scared of letting people down again? Cody, though, takes a few seconds to answer, and he tells Cole he's right about one thing. Fastlane was an incredible moment and to bring Jey Uso back, and he's just excited to be tag champion. Michael Cole then talks up the year he's had and asks him the question again about finishing the story. Again, basically implying, are you afraid to go after Roman Reigns again and finish the story? Cody's hesitating, so you're wondering if he's a little scared. But then, before we can answer, here comes Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. And we'll be talking about Kevin Owens again in SmackDown. But Sami Zayn comes out to talk about the history of the tag titles, which also, this was either a botch or because they were trying to set the tone or something, but they accidentally played Sami Zayn's heel theme. I got a little scared when that happened. I'm like, oh, don't tell me Vince tried to lurk back in and change his theme. But I guess apparently that was a mistake, because Sami said something like, well, haven't heard that one for a while. But they mentioned how they ended the Usos' record-setting tag title reign. And it says it's complicated and messy because he has mixed emotions. He thinks the world of both of them. But thinks so that they deserve, he thinks that both Jey and Cody deserve to be champs. But he can't help but feeling it should be them with the titles. KO then comes right out and challenges them for the titles. Unless Jey is scared of losing the titles to them again. Cody accepts the challenge and says he'll do one better. And says, let's make the match tonight. Which, again, that's a pretty good pay-per-view quality match there that we're getting in our main event on the show. Anyways, though, Alpha Academy's backstage getting Chad Gable ready for his number one contenders match for the Intercontinental title. It was going to be between him, Ricochet, and Bronson Reed. As Otis is chopping him in the chest over and over to toughen him up. And then Bronson Reed rolls up. Because Chad ain't getting anywhere near the title as long as he's around. And maybe he should tell his daughter not to watch because it'll be another heartbreaking loss for her. Which gets Otis more fired up and he's like, hit me again. And Otis just went BAM with the chops. Anyways. We had a I think I might have missed this, but there was a segment earlier in the night where Shinsuke Nakamura was interviewed about what happened at Fastlane. Nakamura didn't really want to talk about it. But all of a sudden, because he said he'd come after him once he gets cleared from his little minor injury, we all of a sudden hear someone in the background go, hey, you piece of shit! And it's Ricochet, who runs in and brawls with Shinsuke Nakamura. Because they had a little bit of beef before Ricochet got hurt. Again, I think it was kayfabe just to make Nakamura look more dangerous going up against Seth Rollins. Which, of course, that crowd, it reminded me of the segment on SmackDown in 2016 before AJ Styles and Dean Ambrose had their TLC match, wherever Ambrose came running in to the one room backstage calling AJ Styles a bastard. But anyways, they brawl. And then before their match happens, Ricochet comes out and Shinsuke attacks him on the entrance ramp and then hits a GTS. I know there's been a lot of news whether or not CM Punk is coming or not, but they have been making some teases. But again, as I still stand, I don't care if he comes or not. I'll just believe he's there once I see it. But that's all I'm going to say. The referees, though, broke it up. And then we had the match. Ricochet hung in there pretty well. Of course, my favorite spot of the match was still when Chad Gable did an avalanche German suplex on Bronson Reed. There was some good back and forth counters, especially between Ricochet and Gable. And then towards the end of the match, Gable had Ricochet ready for Chaos Theory. But then once he hit Chaos Theory, Bronson broke it up and threw Ricochet on top of Gable, hits the senton, and then climbs to the top with the 747 splash. And next week on Raw, on the season premiere of Raw. I hate when they call it that. In the middle of the year. Well, in October. Don't get why it's the season premiere. Like, you would think that would be more so like after WrestleMania. Like, not after a random B pay-per-view. It's the season premiere. Makes no sense to me. But anyways, Bronson Reed's going to take on Gunther next week. Bronson Reed, though, did not pin Chad Gable. So I'm pretty sure it's going to be Gable using that, trying to find a reason to still get that title shot. They're still teasing that it could be Chad Gable. And I also got to say this, too. I do like that they didn't have Gunther just drop the title immediately after breaking the record. I did like that. I don't like how WWE always seems to give people these records and then they drop the title immediately. I don't like that. So, because it makes them more unpredictable as to when Gunther's going to drop that title. It'd be cool to see Bronson Reed be champion, but I don't think he's going to drop it to Bronson. I'm still thinking Gable, but we'll wait and see. Becky Lynch is backstage. She is cleared to wrestle, and she has a match later on in the show for the NXT Women's title against Tegan Nox. And she says she's not 100% physically, but she's a fighting champ, and you're never 100% if you're doing it right. And then we have Xia Li roll up. Remember her? It's been a while. She's like, yo, Becky, when's it my turn? And Becky's like, I'm not hard to find, and just walks away. So I guess we're getting a match with them soon. I don't know. Which kind of gave away the women's title match, but we'll talk about that later. Drew McIntyre took on JD McDonough. I liked the part where JD McDonough was kind of working on the leg of Drew McIntyre. But once again, JD McDonough lost to Drew McIntyre. I mean, yes, would you expect him to beat Drew McIntyre? No, but again, I just don't care anymore about the Judgment Day. Like, not as a group, yes. Like, Rhea and Dom, yes. Damian by himself, yes. Finn by himself, yes. Because like I said, even the stuff with JD now, it's like, okay, he's not proven to be so worthy. Like, it's just so back and forth. And it's like, okay, they bring some new elements in, and then that doesn't seem to work out. I'm just ready to move on from this. Again, there's nothing else left that's making me want to at all get invested in the Judgment or to take the Judgment Day seriously. Like, I'll give them this. If they want to have someone fight them at War Games, fine. But let War Games be it. After War Games, split this group up. It's just not working. I'm sorry. It's not working. It isn't. But Drew wins with the Claymore, despite being on a bad leg. We did have a little sit-down interview with the reunited DIY. Yes! They sit down with Wade Barrett, and Gargano and Ciampa talk about how it took them 7 years, and this is the 7-year making, and their history is like no other. But now they look to do what's next and how far they can take this thing. They continue to talk, but then Imperium interrupt and beat them down in the locker room. Also, later on in the show, there was a random vignette for Ludwig Kaiser. Again, it was kind of random. But I don't know if that's just to give Ludwig a little bit of a rub or something, because I still, especially if Triple H is getting full control, it's still not time for me to see Imperium split up. Again, if Triple H was in full control still whenever Imperium got moved to Raw, they would be dominating Raw. Raw would be their show. Now, Gunther's still fine, but the rest of Imperium? Ugh. But we'll see what happens. A lot of people are saying that the vignette for Kaiser was similar to the vignettes when they tried to repackage, whenever Fabian Eichner, now Giovanni Vinci, was repackaged to Giovanni Vinci in NXT. So I guess they're either trying to put that on Kaiser. I don't know what they're doing. But yeah, there was a random vignette for him. Then we saw Tegan Knox. What's up, Tegan? It's good to see you. She's being interviewed and says that her match with Becky Lynch tonight isn't just a title match. It's to show the world what she's made of. And Natalya, who fought Tegan a few weeks ago, rolls up and wishes her best of luck. And then Ricochet also was trying to find Nakamura to get revenge on him for attacking him for his match until he runs into Adam Pearce. Pearce says he had Nakamura escorted out of the building, but next week on the season premiere of Raw, they're going to have a Falls Count Anywhere match. And Ricochet is like, that's what I'm talking about. So that could be interesting. We'll see how that goes. Then we had this match with Becky Lynch and Tegan Knox. I feel so bad for Tegan in this match, because this was... I didn't think Tegan was going to win. But this is a match I feel like that just reminded us, for those who did watch NXT or NXT UK or the Mae Young Classics, and she had a vignette too. A simple vignette to remind us of who she is. And I think she did exactly that in this match. The crowd just didn't give a damn. And I feel bad because I've always been a big fan of Tegan Knox. She could, like, between, like, the story of her injuries, her multiple ACL tears she suffered, several times where her career could have been over, getting released, just come back, and then get put on main event, which I am surprised but happy she was not released. And she still has a story. Like, again, this felt like this was set, that this was WWE saying, this is an underdog. This is somebody you're going to want to build a lot of sympathy around. Even though I've wondered at times based off her booking if they're considering turning her heel, which would be interesting, but I still think you got to give her that crowning moment as a babyface. You can easily build Tegan Nox as that underdog babyface. And that's what they set up in this match. She worked very well with Becky. This was a match meant to put Tegan Nox on the map. And again, despite the fact the crowd not being into it, I think they succeeded. And Tegan Nox is good. After the match, though, Becky won after getting her attack to disarm her. And Becky shakes Tegan's hand. Of course, Tegan was a little frustrated after the match. But Natty comes over and tells her, you did great, and don't beat yourself up. And even Katana Chance and Kaden Carter, haven't seen them for a while, they even tried getting behind Tegan's side. And then Chelsea Green and Piper Niven roll up and start trash-talking her. Chelsea tells Natty never to interfere again or else. But when pressed on what or else could mean, Piper Niven steps up and says, you'll have to deal with me. And I guess Natty and Piper have a match next week. Okay? Wondered if this is leading to Natalya and Tegan being a team now. Which, I'll say this. As much as I did enjoy seeing Tegan Nox kind of getting a spotlight and her getting a story, I was wondering where Zoe Stark was on this show. Just after I finally post my short saying how Zoe Stark, I feel, should be the one to go to the Royal Rumble, win it, and be the one to dethrone Rhea at WrestleMania 40. But she was on the show, so I'm wondering, what's this all about? But we'll see. But this could be setting up, I guess, because I thought they were going to have Shayna and Zoe be a team to take out Chelsea and Piper. But maybe it'll be Tegan and Natty. Again, keep giving these women, especially Tegan Nox, a direction, which I liked. Jey Uso's backstage warming up when Drew McIntyre rolls up. He tells Jey when he shows you his true colors, he'll be ready to drop his ass. And Jey says, you got 5 minutes for me right now. Sami Zayn then appears and basically calms the situation down, and Drew backs down and walks away. Jey says, Sami, I appreciate you always have my back, but tonight it's go time. And Sami says, you'll have to tell me twice. And then we have the main event. Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso versus Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn for the tag titles. Very crazy match. Very good chemistry between both these guys. This is something that still I would have loved to have seen on pay-per-view. But it was still an excellent close calling main event. Cody and Jey, though, win with a combination of the Cody color and the 1D, whatever they're calling that finisher, and Cody and Jey retain the tag titles. Afterwards, though, Sami shakes Cody's and Jey's hand. KO then shakes Cody's, and he hesitates before he finally shakes Jey's hand and embraces him, and they go off the air, basically just showing a sign of respect and saying, it's been a great show, guys. Good night, everybody. So yeah, fun main event. Of course, that was the last episode of Raw for now. We're going to see Kevin Owens. Spoiler for SmackDown. Confused. But we'll get to that in a little bit. That's Raw, though. Again, we saw a lot of different things get set up on this episode of Raw. Again, I am interested in seeing what's going to happen with Seth and Drew, because right now I still feel like Drew is like a ticking time bomb. He's basically saying a heel turn's coming, but he's trying to still, like, be that nice guy. Be that good guy, but he's gonna, like, so much so that when he does finally pull the trigger and turn heel, if that is the case, it's really gonna hurt when it happens. Again, even though Nia Jackson's involved, I am interested to see, what happens for the women getting involved. Again, I love the stuff they did with Tegan Nox. But of course, that's being flubbed a little bit. Again, didn't care for what to do with Judgment Day, but Cody and Jay had some good stuff going on here. Of course, now Cody's story, I'm a little confused with, though. But again, that'll be a SmackDown thing. But yeah, guys, that's Raw. That's my thoughts on Raw. Gave it a B. Again, I had a lot to say about it. It was a great review. Again, if I would have been prepared, I would have gone live for this. But I didn't, but it's okay. So I will record SmackDown either tonight or tomorrow. And at some point this week, I will be uploading a lot of videos. So please stay tuned, guys, for more content on the channel. And leave your thoughts down below on your thoughts on Monday Night Raw. Be sure also, as always, to slap a like on the video. Subscribe for more content on my channel. Again, be part of the road to 2,000 subscribers, 61 away. Follow me on Twitter as well, at the Club of the Man 93. And also on TikTok and Instagram at the Club of the Man 1993. Until then, guys, we're checking out. I'll catch you guys all later. And do not forget, in order to be superior to the man, you've got to be the man. And for I am the man himself. And that is not just an opinion. That is a fact of life. Yeah!